Hey Flosstubers, it's Katie the Stash Queen coming to you on Thursday, November the 19th. I know, it's not my normal Sunday video. I'm coming today because I had been asked by some individuals in Stitch Mania to outline how I plan on doing my rotation for 2016. And I'm more than happy to give all of those details. This video will not have any whips, it will not have any haul, it will not have any Q&A. I have lots of all of those to show on my normal video on Sunday, but I just wanted to take a few minutes before I had to go pick up the kids from school and go ahead and get this, and errands are done for the day and all that. So I just wanted to go ahead and get this video done so that everyone could have the information. Before I go into the details, I feel it necessary to preface a few things. One, rotations, or lack thereof, is a very personal decision. On one hand, you have people who can only work on one whip at a time and have to finish that whip before they start something else. That's totally fine. On the other hand, you have people like me who are planning on 366 new starts next year and have a multi-pronged rotation daily plan for things, and that's fine. And you have everyone who runs the gambit in between. There is no right or wrong way to do a rotation. You need to do what is best for you. This is one of those times where FOMO should not be in your vocabulary. Just because I do something doesn't mean you have to. Just because I don't do something at the same time doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it either. If any part of this works for you, fantastic. Take it, run with it, make it your own. I'm thrilled. That's why I'm happy to share what I'm doing in case it helps anyone else. If you watch this video and you're like, what the heck, Katie, you're crazy, bye-bye, that's fine too. I don't have any problem with it. This is what works for me. It's a slight modification on what I'm doing for the rest of 2015, which I'm not going to go into because we've only got like a few weeks left, I'm not thinking about Christmas. So it's just, no. Get me through next week. Thanksgiving and in-laws and all that fun stuff. So that's the first part. Don't take this as pressure to do things the way, if you have a rotation that works for you, great. If you don't and you're looking for something new, feel free to take any part of this that you want. I know I'm a crazy stitcher. That is already well established. I have crazy stash. I have crazy plans. I love every second of it. So I'm not going to apologize for it, but not everyone is like me, and everyone needs to do what works best for them. The second thing I feel that necessary to preface, I am a stay-at-home mom. Both of my children are in school, and they are old enough that when they are at home, they can do things independently, and I don't have to be with them 24/7. If you work full-time, you're not going to have the same time that I do during the day to stitch. I would never have been able to get anywhere close to this when I worked full-time. If you have young children, you may only have time to stitch in the evenings or during nap time, and some of this may not work for you. That's fine. This is the stage of life that I am in right now. School-age children who are able to function on their own for the most part, and in school full-time, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. So that's the other thing, is I have time to do this rotation during the day in bits and pieces in between when I do other chores and stuff. It's a great reward for me. When I'm, tired of doing laundry, I can sit down and do part of my rotation for the day. And it's a good system for me. So with all of that being said, if you are interested and are still watching, fantastic. If you aren't and you just want to see my whips and stash and haul and Q&A, I'll see you guys on Sunday. But let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details. So for 2016, my rotation falls into 4 parts. The annual stitch-alongs that I'm involved in, the monthly stitch-alongs I'm involved in, my year of starts, and my daily rotation of my whips. 4 parts. So let me go ahead and delve into how this breaks up. I will say a timer is my best friend for this rotation. I don't chart the amount of time that it takes me to finish a piece. No. What I use the timer for all of this is permission for me to put something down and work on something else. If I know I have a set amount of time that I'm going to work on a piece in a given day, I will do my best to finish as much as I can in that time. And when the time goes off, it goes to the side and I don't have to worry about it until tomorrow or the next day or whenever it comes up, whatever the rotation schedule is. So for all of these, except for my whip daily rotation, I use a timer on my phone. So it's works well for me. It's all kind of modified of what has been called by Jessie Marie and others in Stitch Mania, the Katie method, that I am a firm believer in, that no matter how much time you put into a piece, that's however much time that you put in less than you have to do later on. So if you can only dedicate 15 minutes to a piece in a given day, that's 15 minutes less that you have to work on it, that 15 more minutes of progress. If you work on it for 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, it adds up. I also take pictures every day because sometimes like 15 minutes is the shortest increment of time that I go in to work on any given piece. And that may not seem like a lot. It really doesn't. It goes quickly. But if you take pictures, you can see the progress. And that I find is a fantastic motivation tool. I hear all the time when I'm watching on Flosstube people saying, I didn't feel I had enough progress to show that I had done anything, so I'm not showing you this whip. Show me the whips. Don't ever feel like you have to reach a certain amount of completion to show progress. 5 stitches is progress. 10 stitches is progress. 1,000 stitches is progress, whatever the case may be. That's why I go by time and not by number of stitches, because you know, what you can complete in 15, 30 minutes, an hour really, really, really does add up. I promise. Okay. Annual stitch alongs. Next year, I'm going to be involved in 5 annual stitch alongs. The Magical Creatures calendar stitch along that Adele is hosting. Hi, Adele. The Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery 2016, whatever that annual pattern is going to be. They need hopefully they say they're going to be announcing it next week. We'll see if that actually happens. Clouds Factory's annual stitch along for next year, whatever it is and whenever they release it. And then the 2 for Stitch Mania, which are the Chatelaine Shenanigans and the Brooks Book stitch along. So, Magical Creatures, this is my plan. Subject to modification as things come up, depending on how it, because it somewhat depends on, this is my plan right now without knowing what the Frosted Pumpkin and Clouds Factory themes are going to be for next year and how they are going to work out. Because this year, you know, I could finish a Frosted Pumpkin monthly one in a day. Last year, I wouldn't have been able to do that. The Once Upon a Time sampler had too much detail to finish in one day. And seeing how this is working for me right now, as I am working on finishing up the border for the Magical Creatures calendar stitch along for being ready for January, I think this is how I'm going to do it. And getting frustrated with the number of days it sometimes would take me to get the Zodiac done. I think this is what my plan is going to be. Again, subject to change if things change. Magical Creatures, Frosted Pumpkin, and Clouds Factory annual stitch-alongs will get 15 minutes a day, each day, until that month's frame is done. So starting on, you know, I'm not going to start in January because January gets weird and Frosted Pumpkin sometimes doesn't release till mid-January, but say February. February 1st, I will start the February frame of the Magical Creatures calendar stitch along, the February portion of Frosted Pumpkin and the February portion of Clouds Factory, and work on each one for 15 minutes a day. And again, this isn't just sitting down for 45 minutes and doing all 3. Sometimes I might be able to do that, but it may be I do 15 minutes here, go and do something else, do another 15 minutes here, go and do something else. And then I will only work on those until that month's portion is finished. Now, granted, for Frosted Pumpkin and Clouds Factory, that's easy. I don't have future months, but like the Magical Creatures, I have the whole pattern already. I'm only going to work on 1 month at a time. And I figure that way, you know, once I finish a month, that will go away for until the rest of the month, and that's 15 less minutes of rotation stitching that I have, which is fine. The exception to those rules, and the exception to any of these rules, are when they come up as my daily whip, in which case they may get more than 15 minutes in that day. But that's just what I do that now when the things come up as whips. For Chatelaine Shenanigans and Brooks Books, those are the 2 annual stitch-alongs that are happening in Stitch Mania. I will have 3 Chatelaines by the end of January, and 3 Brooks Books pieces by the end of January that I will be working on. One each is a whip that I'm currently working on, the Medieval Town Mandala and the Cross Stitch Angel, Spirit of Cross Stitch Angel. I've got 2 chatelaines scheduled to start next year and 2 Brooks Books that I'm starting in January. That'll come in my January video. I'm really waiting for Frosted Pumpkin to come out. And Clouds Factory, come on guys. Those I will be rotating. So I won't be working on pieces for both chatelaine and Brooks Books every week. One week will be chatelaine, next week will be Brooks Books, the next week will be chatelaine, the next week will be Brooks Books. I am also rotating which chatelaine and which Brooks Books piece I work on. So like for the first week of, I'll give you guys a hint. My January 1 start is my Tuscany Town Mandala by chatelaine. So I will work that entire week, and I've scheduled it out for the whole year already. That entire week I will work for 30 minutes a day on that chatelaine, and then I'll put it away. And then the next week will be a Brooks Books week. So the Brooks Books piece that I have, I will work for that week. I will work on 30 minutes a day and then put it away. Then the chatelaine will come up the next time. It'll be a chatelaine piece. Whichever chatelaine I'm working on, 30 minutes a day goes away. Make sense? So it alternates between chatelaine and Brooks Books every week. And it alternates which chatelaine and which Brooks Books I work on every week. I have it all. I have sticky notes on my phone, or not my phone, sticky notes on my computer. It's an app. They're not real sticky notes. They're electronic sticky notes. But I have one that is called 2016 Annual Mania Stitch-Alongs. And I have it, and I'm pulling it up. I can't show you guys it right now, but I have, starting on this day, I do this one. Starting on this day, I do that one. Starting on this day, I do that one. So on and so forth. And actually it looks like I didn't start the rotation until January 31st so that I could get through the month of January. I may go back and modify that, but that's the intention, is to go chatelaine, Brooks Books, chatelaine, Brooks Books, chatelaine, Brooks Books. Whatever piece I am working on for the annual Stitch Along for Mania will get 30 minutes a day. So far in a given week, I can have 15 minutes of Magical Creatures, 15 minutes of Frosted Pumpkin, 15 minutes of Clouds Factory Annual Stitch Along, 30 minutes of the Stitch Mania Annual Stitch Along for the week. Got that so far? Next part is my monthly Stitch Alongs. Stitch Mania, I say Stitch Mania has scheduled. I have scheduled all of the Stitch Mania Stitch Alongs for 2016. They're all out. They're all done. My focus this year, or my rule this year, is that with the exception of January for New Year, New Start, May, Mania, which are new starts, and the Harry Potter Stitch Along in September, and the Something Old, Something New Stitch Along, and where is that? I think that's November, I think is where it is. Unless it is something that is a new, like a Stitch Along for something new, I will be working my Stitch Along pieces for, sorry, you're just going again. My Stitch Along pieces from the monthly Stitch Alongs for 2016 are going to be current whips that I have as of December 31st, 2015. So all the whips that you guys have seen all year, or all the past 6 months, or however long I've been doing these videos now, that I will be focusing on those pieces so that I can get some of my older whips done and out of the way. Those will get, as they do now, an hour a day. So that'll be my annual Stitch Along piece, or my monthly Stitch Along piece, whatever it may be, gets an hour. So we'll get 7 hours for a week. I have done my best because I've already scheduled it for next year. I get organized when I want to be. I don't repeat any of the Stitch Alongs, or any of the pieces in the Stitch Alongs. I try to use a different one for every piece. The only exception will be in December, which is our final countdown month, which is a month focused entirely on finishes. That we will, I will be focusing on getting as whatever pieces done that I can. So that's that one. That gets an hour a day. Year of starts. Oh, I should preface that the monthly stitch-alongs for Mania, that hour a day starts in February, because January is New Year, New Start. So I'm just counting all of the starts that I'm doing for January as my New Year, New Start. And then it won't be an hour a day in Mania either, because it's Mania. And Mania's entire focus is new starts. So this will be for February, March, April, and then June through December. Or June through November. Something like that. December will be whatever. That's the only month I haven't scheduled out yet. I have a couple of empty spaces on my stitch-alongs for next year because of pieces I've already finished this year that at the time I was putting this together I hadn't finished. So I still have to figure out a few things here and there. Year of Starts. Year of Starts, my goal is literally a new start every day for the entire year. My intention is to work on that piece for no less than 15, no more than 30 minutes in a given day, depending on the day. I would like to aim for 30 minutes because that 30 minutes is more and you get more time, but not every day is going to let me do that. So I want to get at least 15 minutes in, no more than 30 minutes in on whatever my daily or whatever my start is for the Year of Starts. After something gets started for the Year of Starts, it moves into my daily whip rotation, which you all are familiar with. I do a different whip every day in alphabetical order. So it's entirely possible, and it will be updated at the end of each week, because just like I'm doing now with my weekly videos, I plan on doing weekly videos next year where it'll be, here are my starts for this week, here are my whips for this week, and then the following week when I come and do a new set of starts and whips, whatever I started the week before, at that point will move into my whips. So it's possible that something may be, hey, it was started this week and it shows up because of where I am in the alphabet. It's a whip next week. It gets more time. It'll just depend on where it goes through. So some pieces will come back faster than others, but that's also one reason why, moving on to my daily whip rotation, that I'm focusing on for my Stitch Mania stitch-alongs to be whips that I've currently got, so that I can try to get, since those are further along, I can try to get them out of the way. My daily whip rotation is the only part that I don't time, because it's the last piece that I will do in a given day. So I will have already done all the stitching for my annual stitch-alongs. I would have already done my monthly stitch-alongs. I will have already done my Year of Starts before I get to my daily rotation piece. And whatever time I have left in the day will be focused on that. And sometimes that means that by the time I get to it, I may not want to work on it because I would be burned out or tired or life happens and I can't get to it. And that's fine. It'll do the exact same thing it does now, and it'll move to the next day as the whip that I use for the next day. No big deal. Does that make sense? So I've got the order that I will do them in each day will be my annual stitch-alongs, my monthly stitch-along, my Year of Starts, daily rotation. That's how I work it out. Now, there are a couple of other things that get thrown in every so often. I am a member of the Disney Dreams group on Facebook, and every so often they throw in a time just to do a stitch along and focus on working on a piece. That'll get adjusted as they come up. Every so often, or there's discussion now in the Chatelaine support group of possibly doing stitch alongs related to specific pieces. If those come up, I will see if and how my pieces can work in, and if they can, that'll get thrown in somewhere. Or it may just be a, hey, I'm already working on this, and by the way, this coincides. More than likely going to be the case. And then there's always the occasional focus on a finish. If I'm close enough to finishing a piece that I want to get it done, then I'll throw it in and I'll figure out how much time I can dedicate it. Right now I do 30 minutes a day, but that will likely change for next year. So again, yes, that's a lot of stitching in the course of a day. I reserve the right to make modifications as the year goes on. Life happens. And it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video. Rotations are an individual thing. With the exception of the errands that I run out of the house and the occasional volunteering up at the kids' school, I don't do a lot outside of the house. I have the time. Don't feel bad if you don't. There's no reason to feel bad if you don't. You need to do what works best for you. And what works best for me is dividing things out by category and timing it so I know how much time I can work on a piece and go from there. It's what works for me. So I hope this is helpful. Again, if you get any part out of this then that you can use for your own rotation, fantastic. If you're sitting here just eyes wide, mouth open saying, Katie, you are absolutely freaking insane, that's fine. I'll love you anyway. But I'm excited. I really am. I finalized today the pieces that I'm subbing out flosses, like hand-dyed flosses for. I made sure I had all of the flosses for some of my other pieces all set and ready to go. I'm excited. And the only reason I haven't done my January video yet is because I'm still waiting on Frosted Pumpkin and Cloud's Factory to release theirs. If they don't release it by the end of next week, I'll probably just do the video of what I'm going to start in January and say, and whatever Frosted Pumpkin and Cloud's Factory come up with, I will show those when they do. I'd prefer not to, because I would really like to have a set of 12 videos for this upcoming year of here's my January, here's my February, here's my March. I've done a preview of what the starts are going to be in Stitch Mania and in the crazy January, February challenge group, whatever that's official name called. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. I will include it in my Q&A, which I have a feeling is going to be long this week because I've already seen lots of questions rolling in. Otherwise, it's time for me to go and run and get the kids, and I will see you guys next time.